This is a song from Suno called Beauties Differentes. It's about Psyche. Psyche, Venus, Cupido. Classical reference. I've been watching YouTube for a couple years now. And before I used to watch YouTube, I used to be into Facebook. And I had to completely stop with Facebook because it became valueless. Now I'm at the point that YouTube is of diminishing value. And let me explain why. It is difficult to tell men how to get women in Brazil. Because a grown man should have some idea. It is difficult to tell the same man that in any country. Because a grown man should have some idea. So then there's the language learning platforms. And they're going to tell you how to learn this language, that language, this language. But when you watch the YouTube video over a course of years, it's the endless circle of the same thing. Like I see some guy, he's covering Me Gusta. He's still making new videos on Me Gusta. Not on how it evolved from Latin or evolved from Indo-European or anything of that sort, but just Me Gusta. And that's it. So I have to think of this in an entirely different way. What you need is content. And I'm in Mexico right now. But before I went to Mexico, I had to spend 23 years driving back and forth to Mexico. Because in those days, there were no digital nomads. So I couldn't just go to the Philippines and set up a YouTube channel. I couldn't go to Mexico and set up a YouTube channel. I couldn't go back to Brazil and set up a YouTube channel. I couldn't go to Quebec and set up a YouTube channel. That sort of thing didn't exist. There were no digital nomads. So there's a place for doing things the old-fashioned way. I'm watching some guy named Trevor, and he's trying to tell some guy in his 20s and 30s, to leave the United States, to run to Brazil, and start a digital enterprise in Brazil like he has done. Then you got this guy called Mexican in the Philippines. And he's trying to explain how at 37 years old, he is trying to get his YouTube channel going in the Philippines so that he can increase his income. Now this guy is pretty sharp because he has a local business. He has a sorry store. Maybe he's got a piggery, and he worked in the United States and saved his money and went to the Philippines. Okay, he's on a little bit more solid ground. But when you're trying to tell somebody that's 20, 30, 40, even 50 years old, hey, come over here and start a business and come to a low-wage country. Come to a low-wage country in your prime. Think about that. Come to a low-wage country in your prime in hopes of making a high wage in a high wage country, online, digitally. That's what these guys are telling you. What type of logic is that? Think about that. Think about that. Now, the United States is an expensive place to live. But if you're willing to make sacrifices, which are going to be the same sacrifices that you're going to make in Mexico, Portugal, France, Italy, you're going to make the same sacrifices in the United States, like having two roommates, not always having a car, using public transportation, walking, having a garden. You're going to make the same sacrifices. You're going to make the same sacrifices in those other countries that you're going to make in the United States. So why would you leave a place with a guaranteed high wage to in your prime to go someplace with a maybe? Think about that. You've left the place where everybody wants to come to. Granted, it has problems. But you've left, let's say you leave Germany. That's a high wage nation. You don't see many Germans on YouTube because they're not leaving. And trust me, I know what the Germans are saying. You don't see them leaving a high wage nation for women. You don't see the Dutch leaving a high wage nation for women. You don't see it. You see Americans, young Americans, leaving a high wage nation for women. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why? You're in your prime. Let me say that again. You're in your prime. If a 20-year-old girl is a little bit heavy, why do you care? You can get her a gym membership at Planet Fitness for $10 a month and pay it out of your pocket. You can get her a personal trainer. You can train her yourself. Think about it. I don't have to go to Mexico to meet a gym girl. I knew gym girls in the United States. I don't have to go to the Philippines to meet a gym girl. I knew gym girls in the United States. I didn't have to go to Brazil, back to Brazil to meet gym girls. I knew gym girls in the United States. If you can't meet a gym girl in the United States, and a lot of these guys that you see on YouTube, not all of them, but most of them can't meet a gym girl in the United States. And the reason why is because they're not gym guys. If you're not a gym guy, how are you going to meet a gym girl? See? Doesn't matter. You can go to Antarctica. And if you're not a gym guy, you're not going to meet a gym girl in Antarctica. If you're on the moon and you're not a gym guy, you're not going to meet a gym girl on the moon. Now, if you're an old codger like me, and you're well past your prime, and the lights are about to go out forever, I totally understand running off to the Philippines to get a 90 to 89-pound Google Translator, sometimes lovingly called a Filipina, that's in her 20s, in her 30s, in her 40s. I completely understand it. Trust me, I understand it. But If you speak Spanish or Portuguese, you're going to experience the same age gap relationship in Latin America. So what are you flying all the way over there for when what you can do is sit down for a year and watch good content and grasp these languages? Now what I'm going to introduce is a movie in French. And here's a taste of French song. I'm going to introduce a movie in French. And it's Caesar in the Gallic Wars. Timeless classic. Still relevant today. Watch that movie. Now you're going to say, oh, well, my target language is in French. That's not important. Because there's a department of France in South America called Guyane. And it's not going anywhere. Louisiana, for all practical purposes, is still French. It's not going anywhere. And the minute you get on the Texas-Louisiana border, you're going to have to deal with French. Montreal is in Canada. And Canada is not an English word, it's a French word. And the people in Montreal, they're not going anywhere. So do you need perfect French? No. But if you're going to be running around the world, then you're going to have to deal with the largest geographic country still standing, and that's France. If you count sea, air, and land, France is the largest country in the world. If you count sea, air, and land. So think about that. So you need to watch this movie in French. It's going to give you better Portuguese. It's going to give you better Spanish. It's going to give you better English. It's going to give you better Latin. It reminds me of there was a British Secret Service guy during World War I. I think it was during World War I. And he had to go to Romania and enlist the help of the Romanians in the British cause against Imperial Germany, against Kaiser Germany. He spoke English and he spoke French. But his French was good enough that it transferred directly into Romanian. So he could speak to the Romanians in French, and they understood him. And they could speak back to him in Romanian, and he understood them. And it helped the British cause. So you don't always have to have one-to-one correspondence between two languages. You don't always have to have that. But you do have to know French because of its international relevance. It's just unavoidable. So watch this movie.